Feras Qartoumy here. Today we are going to be talking about Super Lap Battle. What happened, how did it go, kind of just a whole rundown of everything. So for Super Lap Battle, I actually lost my GoPro a couple days before. When I was testing, it broke the mount and just flew out the passenger window. So I didn't get to record anything that I really wanted to. I wanted to walk around, show you guys the paddock, other cars, interview some people, stuff like that. But I didn't get to do that. So I'm gonna give you guys a quick rundown of the events that happened and how it pretty much went for us. So leading up to Super Lap Battle, we finished the car about 2 weeks in advance, and I started testing the car, and everything was absolutely great. The car was light, it was fast, it was 1.5 seconds faster than I've ever ran at my local test track. So it was like really promising that we were going to be on pace to go sub 2 minutes. And I noticed when I was finishing those test laps, there was like a misfire at idle, and I just thought, okay, maybe it was just like plugs or coils, something very, very simple. So I didn't really think too far into it because we were looking at data, and all the data was just like phenomenal. It was perfect, everything was healthy, there was no problems at all. I kind of just put that on the back burner, just thinking it was something simple, and started finishing the rest of the car so that way it would pass tech, and just certain little small things that needed to happen. Wednesday before Super Lap Battle, I was okay, let's check out what's going on with the misfire. I tried to change plugs, I tried putting new injectors in, I tried looking for ground issues. Nothing was fixing the issue that was happening. It was still misfiring, and I was okay, well, at this point it was like 1 a.m. Wednesday. And I was okay, well, let's get some sleep, kind of just think everything over, come back with like fresh eyes, fresh mind in the morning, knowing that the engine was healthy because it made a bunch of power. I went super, super fast. None of the data was pointing to the issue. And then when I woke up in the morning, I was like, hey, let's just do a compression test just to be sure. So I came back in, I did a compression test, no compression on 2 cylinders. And I was like, crap. Like, that's like my worst nightmare. Thursday before the event, having no compression on 2 cylinders is not good. So I started going down the line of like, okay, well, let's put a borescope in it just to see if there's any damage. I saw no damage. I said, okay, well then let's, do some leak down tests. And then everything was coming back zero, no compression at all. And so I removed the rockers thinking that maybe a push rod length or something, which how can your push rods magically grow? Or, I was thinking maybe a bent. And so when I removed rockers, I all of a sudden had compression. So, okay, well, something is in the valve train. And so back and forth with other people, we came to the assumption that it was the lifters. Maybe the lifter was, stuck at its fully maxed out capacity, causing a longer push rod, ratio that would hang the valve open. It would make sense if, you have compression with rockers off, but you have no compression with rockers on. So, I put a new set of lifters in on that side only. I pulled ahead. Thank God I saw nothing wrong with the short block with the pistons. And my buddy Mike Dusold next door, he had an extra set of spare lifters, and we run the same lifters. So I put in the lifters on that side, put the heads back on, got everything together, and still no compression. And I'm like, damn, this sucks. So I get on the phone with LME, explain everything, and they're like, yeah, that's it's really strange. Now we're looking at Friday, right? This is now Thursday again. Now we're in midnight Thursday, and so Friday comes, and I was like on the phone with my buddy Adam, and he was like, I was like, dude, are all the valve heights supposed to be not the same? And he's like, no, all your valves should be the same height. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought, but I'm looking at these valves, and just with a naked eye I can see some are higher than the other. And so I put a straight edge across all the valves, and you could physically see some were higher than others. So I got back on the phone with LME, talked to Brian, And he's like, oh no, you're tulipping valves. It's like, that's, that's not good. And I was like, well, what should I do? Can I just put a slightly longer push rod in those 2 cylinders, cross my fingers, run it for the weekend and hope it lasts? And he's like, no, don't do that. He's like, bring it here in the condition that it's in. I will clear out a space for you in the warehouse, and pull the heads again, and we'll put new valves in them and machine them and make sure it's right. So I was like, okay. So I packed everything up, jetted down to Houston. Friday, had nothing packed because I was dealing with this. So I was like, rushed to my house, grabbed all my stuff, rushed to my work, grabbed things from there, rushed here, loaded up the car on the trailer, jet down to Houston, pull the head back off the car, and sure enough, there were tulips by 100 thou. Big issues. If we would have ran it, probably would have just grenaded the engine or something. Would have been good. So while I was there, Brian was like, hey, you're here. It's like another hour's worth of work. Pull the other side and let's just check those out. So I was like, I'm kind of in the mindset of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so I was like, you know what? I'll just pull the valve cover off, put a straight edge across it, and if they're off, then we'll do it. And sure enough, they were all off, like worse. And I don't know how that side had compression, but somehow it magically did. So pulled the other side off. They returned that head to me. I gave them the other head. They worked on it. And we got it back together. It had compression. It was making power. It was amazing. And that was Friday night. So I drove from Houston to Austin after driving from Dallas to Houston, and arrived at like 1:30 in the morning. Get to the track, put it through tech, and we go on track. Well, when we were filling up the car with fuel, it was like it puked out fuel. And so my buddy Lewis was like, does that mean it's full? I'm like, yeah, if it's puking out fuel, it's full. Well, it wasn't. Maybe there was an air bubble or something weird. I go on track and I get like to carousel, and the thing starts falling on its face. And I look over and it says low fuel pressure. I'm like, no, like this might be the only lap I have of the weekend. So like I am only feeling it under, braking and the left-hand turn. The last 2 turns are right-handers. So maybe in theory, it'll have enough fuel to make it through the lap. Well, it kind of didn't. It was kind of, sputtering and pulling everything to try to save it. And I get through the lap. Just my luck. The only time I do not bring my own transponder, because I forgot it here, transponder didn't record time. So not only did I not get time recorded, but also hurt the engine. Looking at data after that lap, it obviously went super, super lean. And that's when the issues with the engine started to happen again. And so also during that lap, we sheared off, and I'll show you this in a minute, this corner. And this corner holds this entire setup. This is the support for the splitter, the support for the intercoolers, which goes up and over to the turbo. So these that are welded on to the frame hold everything onto the car. And so I noticed as I was driving, I was like, I'm really scraping the ground. And so I got pulled in by this toe strap, which is right here. So luckily this other side held. And so when I got in, not only did I have the problems with the engine now, and my own doing, but I also had this to repair. And luckily Vibrant had like their mobile fabrication station that they were trying out. They helped me weld it up, get it back together, brace it a little bit better just to make it through the weekend. And so I made it out just in time for the final session. Still with a hurt engine, we went out on 6 cylinders on our lowest boost setting, and somehow did like a 205, which like put us in first place so far for the weekend. I was like, okay, well, that's something to work on. At least we have a lap in. And during that lap, I noticed that my power steering was going out. It was failing. It would get really notchy. It would get stuck. And so going through S's, all of a sudden I had all great power steering, and then all of a sudden it was just boom, stuck. And I was like forcing to go the other way around. Got the carousel, same thing, just stuck. And I had to actually lift for it to like track back in, because I physically couldn't turn it anymore. This car makes upwards of 6,000 pounds of downforce, so imagine trying to force that. So that another issue was power steering. So when I got back, my buddy Lewis from G-Speed, he happened to bring a spare power steering pump. So he's like, we'll change it on in the morning. It'll be super quick. Just get some rest. Mind you, I'm at like, in a couple days now, the past 3 days, I'm only on like 4 hours of sleep each day. So I'm like, okay, that's wise. So prepped the car, went, got 6 hours of sleep, came back, I had to go to driver's meeting while Lewis, one of his employees were there, and a friend of mine, Jason, and he's like, I'll start on the power steering, go to driver's meeting. So like, I never have anybody help me. I happen to have some help this weekend. Thank you guys so much. But just my luck, I have a ground strap that I put on my alternator, which nobody does. It's nobody's fault. I just do weird things. And so I have this ground strap on the alternator, and he doesn't know that. And so when he puts the alternator back on, he leaves the ground strap off. And I go out for the next session, and I somehow, managed the 203. And that was on, again, 6 cylinders and the lowest boost setting. So I was like, shoot, I know the engine's hurt. It's lifting heads. It's puking water out the back. Let's try to go again. Hopefully we can get sub 2 minutes on 6 cylinders. And so, I change tires, put fuel in it, get it ready, torque everything down, make sure everything's happy. And right before I go out, I see that this fitting is leaking water. And I'm like, damn, this really sucks. Now, this is my main overflow expansion tank return from the water pump. And I was like, I got 5 minutes to beat a grid. What am I gonna do? So I run to Vibrant, and they happen to have dash 10 caps with them. I'm sorry, dash 12 caps. So I just say, screw it, pull this off, put 2 caps, cap it off. And I'm like, if it's gonna overheat, it's gonna overheat. Like, I gotta get this lap in. So go out, and I make it to the back straight, and the car shuts off. And I'm like, what in the world? Why it just lost all power. Somehow the power just comes back on, and I'm like, okay, well, if there's something wrong, let's limp it home. And so I get to, I think, turn 15, and just dead, like shuts off again. And this time I can smell like electrical fire. And I'm like, oh my God, this sucks. I'm like, have my finger hovering over the fire suppression button. So I sit there, and I'm just like, whatever. And I watch people go by and come and get towed in. They're like, what is it this time? And I'm like, it's just lost power. Sorry, guys. Get towed in. And this is during like, now it's like lunch, the pit walks. I'm like, I'm not gonna just start tearing my car apart and let everybody come and hang out and talk and meet people. And then once they left, I find out that the ground strap wire, which is this right here, jumped from wherever he left it onto the power of the alternator. And so it just welded itself to each other and killed the car. It ruined the battery, but at least it didn't burn the car to the ground. So, I'm like, okay, that's an easy fix. So do that. I happen to have my spare battery, actually, that was in my trailer I used for my winch. Put that in the car starts up, and we go out for, I think, this session 3 and do like another 204. And I'm like, okay, this thing's hurt. We're not going any faster. Like, it's kind of dumb to keep pushing it. And so I go and I talk to Cole, and he's like, we're still gonna try. And I'm like, well, if Cole's gonna try, I have to try. It's just the competitiveness in me. And he's like, we're gonna go out for the super lap at the very end of the event and skip session 4. So I'm like, okay. So Global comes over, they're like, hey, we need you to go out for super lap. And I'm like, dude, the car's hurt. Like, it's not wise. And he's like, yeah, I mean, super lap's just for the fans. Like, it's just to like, make a lap, just to go around. Like, you kind of need to do it. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, I kind of need to just get the car out there, regardless of whatever it is. Like, just let it be. And so prep it, put some fuel in it, go back out, and the car was actually ripping. I almost went like flat out through the S's. I barely lifted, got right back in it. I was flying, and I see time, and I'm like, oh crap, this might work. Get to the back straight, and just falls on its face, like literally just like putting. And I was like, oh, okay, well, we're done. I already know it's hurt before I even went out, so it's really hurt now. And so I limp it back around. I get it home and in the garage, and I was just like, whatever, I wait to see what happens with Cole's time, and luckily my time held. I don't know how. It's it's crazy, but yeah. And so we ended up winning. So I was like, hell yeah, that's awesome. So I knew the things hurt. I take it over to podium, do the thing, and load it up on the trailer, get it home, and I pull spark plugs out. Well, the first spark plug I pull out, the thing just pukes water. I'm like, oh, okay, well, there's water in that cylinder. Next spark plug I pull out, pukes water, and the ground strap's gone. I'm like, that's not good. Same thing's consistent on every cylinder. There's water in every cylinder. 2 ground straps were completely melted off, and it just was, obviously it lifted the heads, and then there was detonation happening, but the detonation was my own fault. I was the one who decided to run the car with no gas in it. So that's the issues that we had. That's the issue that ended up happening with the engine. I pulled the engine, as you can see, out of the car, drove it down to Houston yesterday, and they're rebuilding it for me. And we're going to get it back in the car and running, and hopefully make Global Time Attack Road Atlanta. So that's it. That's our story. That's how our super lap battle went. So just thought I'd give you guys the update. And yeah, if you guys want to follow along, putting the engine back in the car, getting the car ready for Atlanta, and that'll be one of the next videos here. So if you guys like this video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later.